Okay, we had another request on the forum to make a video to show how to model up a part that is currently being done in Carbon Create 3D. It's a sideboard for a shoe rack. Basically, it's going to be 15 inches wide, 96 inches long, and it's going to have these slots in here patterned at 10-inch intervals, and there'll be a total of 9 of them, even though this is showing one missing here. But anyway, I'll be going through this in Alibre Design Expert and using the tools that are going to be more likely found in Atom 3D, which is going to be a kind of a reduced set from Expert and Pro. So let's get started here. We'll get this out of the way. And we're going to start with a sketch on the XY plane. And I'm going to start with a rectangle. And choosing the origin, we're going to make this 15. Key that in. I've got my real-time dimensioning turned on, so I'll key in 15 inches, hit tab, and go to 96 inches and hit enter, and that makes the sketch full size. And then I'll hit E for a shortcut to extrude, and we're going to make this depth 0.75 for 3/4 inch plywood that this is going to be made out of eventually. So now the next step is going to be to create these angled slots in here. So I'll just right click on this surface, go to activate a sketch, and we'll grab the rectangle tool. Now we do have an angled rectangle tool here that I could use, but I don't know that Atom 3D has that. So I'll use the rectangle by 2 corners and just draw this out. And it's going to come in with horizontal and vertical constraints on it. So first thing I want to do is delete these constraints, and then I'm going to reapply perpendicular constraints between sides and ends, and one more up here. And now that's constrained. We can rotate that around as necessary. Then I'll dimension to the point, corner point of this rectangle. That's going to be 1 inch. And from that point to the bottom is going to be 1 inch. And they want this slot to be at a 2-degree or 2-inch slope. And we're going to be 1 inch from that point off the bottom. And since it's going to be at an angle, 2 inches, we got to allow for the 1 inch already here. And we're going to dimension this at 3 inches. And then we have a width. Grab our 2 lines here for the width of 0.75. Okay, and then that is going to be an extrude to half the material thickness. So come in here, we'll hit the FX button and go back here where extrusion 1 is 0.75, so we'll select D3 here, and then we're going to divide this by 2. And now, because we want to make sure it's cutting into the material, we'll hit reverse, and that cuts our slot. Okay, now the next thing we need to put in here is going to be some dog bones in the corners, because a round router bit is not going to give us square corners here, and that's not going to allow the shelf to slide in here. And so we'll right click on here, activate a 2D sketch, and we're going to grab our circle and draw this out and put a 1/4 inch circle in here. And now for the other corners, we'll just drag out until we get the equal constraint to pop up, and then click to place that. And we'll grab 2 more over here, get the constraints so they're equal, and then now we're going to put these on the corners of this rectangular cutout. So we'll select the long edges of this cutout on this top surface. So select that one, then shift select the other line and go to project to sketch, maintain association, and we'll select the construction line option here and click OK. And then we'll have coincident constraints between the center of these circles and the end point of those lines. And 2 more. Okay, and that's done. Okay, and now we can do an extrude cut. And here we're going to go to geometry and select the bottom face of this slot, and that creates our dog bones at each corner. Now I noticed in the files that I got and the screenshots that I see from Carbon Crate, they create their dog bones a little bit differently. They're offset so that the projected corner of these rectangles are just about in contact with the circle, so the circle is inset somewhat, and that takes a lot more layout with reference geometry to make sure that the circles are in the right location to give a slightly reduced dog bone, but this is the quickest, easiest way to get them laid out in here. The other thing I want to mention too is that there was comment made that there's going to be a tolerance in here because, well, this slot being 3/4 of an inch, the plywood shelf in here may have a variance of between 3/4 and whatever the tolerance is going to be on the plywood, so it may not be exactly fit in here. So we're going to add a tolerance to these parts. So if we click up here on bring up our equation editor, we're going to add a new equation here, and this we're going to call tolerance. So I'll just shortcut that, call it TOL, and key in a value of 1.1, and we're going to make this a type scale and click apply, and then close this box. So now we want to find out, add our tolerance to our slot width and to the diameter of the cutout for the dog bones. So on extrusion 3, our diameter of D10, when I click in this box and multiply this, multiply it times tolerance. Okay, in TOL, hit tab, and now our result is going to be 0.275. So we've added 0.1 to the tolerance of the diameter on that dog bone. The other one we want to do is on our extrusion 2, sketch 2. We have 3/4 inch D8. We're going to multiply that by tolerance also. So that becomes 825, and then when we click, we just zoom in here a little bit so that as soon as I click OK, we'll be able to see the increase of these features as the tolerance is applied. So there. Now we have a larger radius from 125, it went up to 138, and our distance across our slot is now 825 instead of 3/4. So that now is resized or applied our tolerance to the slot and the dog bones. And if you need to make a change in that tolerance, all you need to do is come in here and edit the tolerance value here, and it's automatically applied wherever that's added to the other dimensions or parameters. Okay, now the next step here is to pattern these slots and dog bones. So we come up here and grab our linear pattern, and we're going to come in our tree, either from the Design Explorer or from the part itself, and grab our slots and the dog bones, and then our direction is going to be an edge or an axis, and our spacing is going to be 10, and the quantity is going to be 9, and hit OK, and there's completed part. So now we have all of our length, we have all of our pieces in here, and now if you wanted to suppress or remove any one of these slots from the pattern, it's pretty simple. Just come in here, we'll start a sketch on the bottom of this slot with the dog bones. Right click, select activate sketch, then select that same face, project to sketch with maintain association selected, leave it as regular geometry and click OK, and then we're going to extrude that to a depth, we're going to go up here to geometry and select the surface of the part. Click OK, and basically it buries that slot in a new extrusion and updates your part. So if you want to bring that back into the model, just right click and suppress that extrusion, and your part is back to normal with all 9 slots in the side of this shoe rack. So now the next step is, of course, saving the file. And then if you want to export this, then hit your File tab, hit Export, and then choose what flavor of export file you want, and then save it out to your desired location. Also, if you want to save just an SVG of the part with all these slots, if you right click on this face, activate a sketch, then select that face and project to sketch again, maintain association, leave the geometry selected to normal geometry, click OK, and that creates a sketch that follows all the geometry of that part. And then get out of this sketch, and now you have your sketch here in the Design Explorer. Right click on that sketch and you can export your SVG to any location that you desire. So with that said, that pretty much completes your shoe rack sidewall. I'm going to presume that you will be able to mirror this in when you're creating your parts on the programming in Carbon, that you'll be able to make the right hand and left hand sides appropriately so that you end up with a complete set, sans the shelves at whatever length to put together for your shoe rack. So given that, thanks for watching. Any questions, leave a, post them in the forum or on the video. Thanks for watching.